Hello friends, it's Kayla. Welcome to another episode in the series of trying to find the perfect reading journal. Last time I tried 4 different reading journals. I didn't really do much research into them or try to find specific ones. I just picked up 4 that I had seen around and that I had heard of. I just posted that video and it's being really well received, so thank you so much for that. And a lot of you have recommended a lot of other reading journals or ones that you want me to try, so you know if you should try. So of course, right away I went to my local indie to see what they had in stock, and they had a few things. I think this video is going to be a little bit different because I'm actually going to show you more than 4. I am going to try one every month for the next 4 months, but I picked up a couple that are slightly outside of my actual intent with a reading journal, but I still want to share them with you. And I will be using both of them like long term, I think, at least from my initial impression of them. This came out literally this week, and so many of you were talking about this in the comment section. So Sana from Books and Quills came out with a book club journal, and I'm nerding out because this feels incredible. Just like for comparison, the first one that I'm going to try, I told you about, and I reviewed this Book Riot journal, and I said that I think this is probably likely a response to the original one that they came out that I know about, that I've never really seen in person before, but I knew it existed, and it's like a more unique take on it. So this is just a really typical reading journal from what I see. I am going to be using it for the month of May. And then I think they came out with this one with all of the bullet pages for more of a unique experience and a customizable experience. But this one I'm going to review in just a second, but it was $21.99. It's a soft cover. It's, I think this is called Flexi. Nope, I lost it. Flexi bound? Maybe that's what it's called. So this seems like perfectly fine quality for $21.99. $2 more for like this thick hardcover, beautiful paper, beautiful design. This is like soft velvety. This is like sleek. It has the ribbon. Like, I'm just really impressed with the price of this. This is like my perfect design. I showed you last time that the one with the books on the cover, like that's my preferred cover, and now I have 2 of them. Again, if I were to ever come out with a reading journal, I think that would be the style of the cover. But I don't know if I need to make one of my own, because there still might be my favorite all time out there somewhere waiting for me. So this is not a traditional reading journal, as in it's not meant to be used with every single book you read. It's specifically for your book club, and guess what? I have a book club. I'm sure you could use it for writing down every single book you read, but from just like skimming through, I haven't read this thing full out yet. I'm gonna use it, show you some clips of it in use, and then come back with a review. But there are 30 pages at the beginning about having a book club. It's definitely cool to see something that has fit into a specific niche. And then in the back there are a couple like recommendations for book club picks, and then there are 50 just full spread review opportunities. It's numbered at the top, and it says title, author, date started and finished, paperback, hardback, ebook, audiobook, the typical stuff, number of pages, setting, and then there's book selected by, the book club date, and the location. So you can fill out, like, if you know, a traditional book club in real life, there's a host and you go to their house, and this is just a very cool thing, I think, to bring with you. I'm kind of obsessed with this. There's first impressions, thoughts after finishing the book, themes, and oh, there's a whole second page. Okay, so it's a 4-page review for each one. You can continue on with just notes and questions, and then pages to remember, final thoughts, rating. I love getting to fill in the stars, but I do think just putting rating was kind of smart because not everybody rates the same. Perhaps you're somebody who wants to rate it an A or a B. Maybe you want to rate it out of 10, or maybe you like to write down different things. So like plot was this out of 5 and characters were this out of 5. And then want to reread yes, no, or maybe, further reading, and favorite quote. I'm currently preparing for the live show for my book club, the Literally Dead Book Club's pick for April, so I'm really looking forward to doing this because normally I would just do it in my bullet journal, but this will keep me much more organized and I think it's great. Another thing that I picked up is Reading is Magic, a book log for families. I have to be honest, I didn't fully know what this was before I bought it. I was just browsing the Mosaic website and I searched a reading log and this one showed up and I added it to my cart because it was so pretty. I didn't realize it was for families and that actually really excites me. So I'm just now looking at it for the first time. I already love the colorway. It looks like there are book recommendations for different age ranges. There's some reading tips and then a reading tally. So as you read books with your family. Oh, a favorite book section for age. Okay, if you are a new parent or about to be a parent, or you just have a very young child, pick this up like now because you're going to love having this tracked. I wish I had something that said Liam's favorite book when he was 1 year old. Like obviously I have a really good memory and I have been making videos since he was born. So I could fill this out, but like that's 10 years of remembering. It goes up to age 12. So this is something you will want to have as a keepsake as well. There's a parent wish list of books you'd like to read with your child someday, which I like. This is what I saw. I saw that it's a reading log. Each page is its own full review. There are no page numbers, and I'm absolutely going to use this for Liam. So this isn't something that I need to like fully review for an entire month of use, because I'm just going to be using this moving forward anytime I read something with Liam that is conducive to this type of recording of it. But the one I'm going to be using for the month of May is this one. So it is from Book Riot. It has this little thing. It has a little string. It has a pretty similar colorway as far as the teals inside. Maybe that's like Book Riot's colors. I don't actually know. And it looks like it is full of reading challenges. Oh, see, this one has the rating I was just talking about, it A, B, C, D, F. And each full spread is one review. There's title, author, publisher, year published, genre, subject, started, finished, a little review, this book in 3 words, which is fun, and then a whole page for notes, quotes, and other things to remember. So there are 5 reviews, and then there's a challenge. I'm assuming this is the Book Riot reading challenge, read harder challenge, I'm not sure. Number 1 is read a book about books, and then there are some book recommendations, and then it starts the reviews, but like it's not consistent because the other ones were one full spread for one review, but this one is split up. But then it does give you the 2 pages. So after this one, which I'm realizing is intended for the challenge that just challenged you to do, then it goes back to the normal like white pages with a full spread of one review. What I'm reading from your comments is that something you feel is missing from a lot of the reading journals is space to write your own reading challenge or plan your reading for each month, like any readathons you're participating, any book clubs you're participating in, and I completely agree. So it definitely could have been cool to have just an open page here, and then it could have told you like, hey, Book Riot has a reading challenge and this is where you would write that, or whatever else you're planning on reading. But I also do understand that these reading journals do have to be unique, because like I showed you that one from Amazon that was super generic, like anybody could kind of do that. And so you have to have a reason as the printer or publisher or author to pick up your book instead of someone else's. So what makes this unique is that there is that challenge in there, and because it has the reading recommendations, it adds value. You can also track your books in the back. There's space for 20 each month, but I think you're just like supposed to check it off as you go, which is cool. And then there's this page that says to be read, write in the titles of books you want to read. That's kind of cute. I've talked about before that I do like the reading journals that have the sections to like color in the books, because that's something I've always done, and I never knew that it was actually something that reading journals would offer you. That's just how I like to visually track and see what I'm reading. So while I wish there was a whole page to do that, there are a couple pages for things you want to read. So I'm gonna use this. I really like the cover design. It's simple, it's pretty. Final thoughts, I'm really glad that this has the little elastic here because it's flopping open. You can definitely lie this completely flat with some manipulating, which is good. I feel like I have to rate this in 2 different ways: for the average consumer and for my hypercritical personality. For the average consumer, I'm gonna give this, I think I'm gonna give it a 5. Is that too generous? I don't know. I just feel like a normal person who wanted a reading journal and wasn't comparing a bunch of other reading journals, and also wanted something as advertised that inspires you a little bit with some prompts, I don't think there's anything wrong with this. Like, the paper quality is good, the quality is good, it's everything that it says it is. For me, I just want to say right off the bat, like, I hate the color. I really hate the colorway in here, but maybe it's because it's the brand color of the company I've worked for 4 years and I'm just tired of seeing it. It also reminds me of like gum and like my Listerine breath strips. I don't dislike the color, but I dislike having to see it every time I open this to write a review. I'm giving it a 3 out of 5 for me. It functions perfectly fine, but it's not something that I enjoy looking at because things just aren't consistent in the page. So like, you have this huge slot for author, which I don't understand, and it makes me feel like I have to fill the whole box. There's a list of things here, and then it jumps over here. Sometimes it's lined and sometimes it's dotted. There's way too much white space. Like, everything could have been tighter together, everything could have been closer to the edge. I feel like I have too much space that's being wasted. I do still like the rating at the end, and I do like the describe it in 3 words. I like that it's 1 full page. It works perfectly fine. With the things in between, like, if I'm not going to use it for the purposes which it was designed for, I am wasting 6 entire pages in between every, what was it, 5 or 10 reviews. Oh my god, it's between every 3 reviews. This is very much something that you buy for the challenge. And I get that to split it up and make it like focused. This is the part about the challenges, and then this is for your own reviews, that like these pages are mint and these pages are white. But I still hate it. I could imagine picking this up every single year. There isn't too much other stuff that I feel like is wasted if I buy one every year, because I'm still hypothetically trying to complete like this challenge every single year. Moving on, I decided to pick up something super similar, and it's this. This is called My Book Journal, 100 book reading diary for bibliophiles. I wanted to keep the 4 that I used during this episode in a similar price point. So like I said, this one's $21.99, this one's $17.50, and they look pretty much the same, like binding, quality, everything. And I think this is a pretty like average price point for this type of journal. Let me know in the next episode if you'd like to see one dedicated to budget journals or extravagant journals. So this is the first time I'm opening this one up. It is pretty similar to the last one. So we're starting with a table of contents, which is nice because you can easily flip to the numbered page corresponding with the review that you're looking for. In this one, each review is only 1 full page instead of 1 full spread. There is also just 1 color in here. It's a blue, which I prefer over the mint. Let me know what you think. I want you to answer a lot of questions down below. This has my same issue with things being like all over the page. I understand that it's intentional to make the space work because you don't need a full line to write down the year it was published, but I still just like hate it. This one has the title in a little box at the top that you're supposed to add, and then start date, finish date, author, publisher, year published, the typical fiction genre or nonfiction category. I don't think those lines have enough space. Where I bought, borrowed, or found the book. I like that. Main characters or subject. I don't know about that one. And then my review and thoughts. And then there's a couple stars. So you can rate it for quality of writing, you can rate it for strength of characters, and you can do it for plot. So after the 100 reviews here, it goes on to a 24 book challenge. So it's similar to that last one, but they're all compact at the end. Do I prefer that? Each one has a different prompt, a book written by someone on a different continent. And again, this section is full color, a very light color, but still like a different tone than the rest of the book. Part of me feels like I would think it was cool if maybe there was 1 page that listed all of the challenge prompts, and then you had those 24 pages and it didn't have the prompt at the top of each one, and you could fill it in yourself. Because then there's also the opportunity to just fill in your own challenge. It would be conducive to that because these pages are completely generic. Even though it says a book written by someone in a different country, there aren't any more like things to fill out. So there's no place to write the country. And another one is a book set in wartime. So it could have asked after that, like, what war and what country? It could have asked more pointed questions referring to that challenge. And if it's not going to do that, like, it could have just left it blank. After that 24 book challenge, there's another title page called My Book Lists. And it's saying 10 favorite books of all time. And then a page for 10 favorite characters. There are 22 pages of that. Books with the coolest titles, most suspenseful book I've ever read, favorite movies or TV shows based on books, favorite memoirs and biographies. Some of them have like title and sentence if it's asking you books with your favorite last sentence. And then 10 favorite childhood books, but there's really not that much space to write your answer. And then there are some, like 10 longest books I've read, and then it says title, author, and reason. But like the reason is just that it was long. Like you could have written page number. And for like 10 worst books I've read, you're only giving me that much space to write my reason? After that, there's a section for best book lists. So the Modern Library, 100 best novels, 100 best books of nonfiction, Pulitzer Prize for fiction. So I'm gonna use this up and then check back in with you when I'm done and let you know my final thoughts. I'm going to compare all of these four at the end, but I definitely have to compare these two directly to each other right now because they're so similar. They feel the same, they serve the exact same purpose, they're structured so similarly, and this one is better. If you're choosing between the two, I would recommend this one over this one. I feel like the only thing you're choosing between is like how you want to rate the books, whether you want to use the stars or the letters, and then also if you want more room to write in less space. So like this is a smaller book, but it has 50% more space to write your review. I guess you're also choosing between if you want like a serif or sans serif font. I prefer the sans serif, but everything about this is just generally better. So I'm going to give this like a 3.5. It has the line where I bought, borrowed, or found the book, which I think is great because it helps with remembering that. And then also that's like the section you could put the price if you're somebody who likes to track. Like, did I thrift this? Did I get it from the library? Did I pay full price for it? That's a nice place to put it. My only real qualm with this layout, besides the already established, like, all over the place, not perfectly lined up situation, is I feel like the categories should be in a different order. Because it goes title, start date, finish date, author, publisher, year published, fiction, where I bought and borrowed it, main characters, my review. I just think that all of the things about the book should be together, and then all the things about my experience with the book should be together. So it should be like title, author, publisher, year published, genre, main character, subject, whatever. I don't think main character or subject even needs to be aligned. I think it should be genre, category, theme, and then when I read it and what I think of it and what I rate it. The page is just utilized better, like it touches the edges better, there's not as much white space. I like that there are numbers at the top of the page so you can easily reference it. I can't live without this thing now and this thing now. Like these are needs in future ones if they are this size and can fit in my purse. Like yes. Structurally, 5 stars. If this was the only journal I had ever picked up and experienced, I would have thought it was fine for daily use. This month's just arrived, so I thought I would open it with you. This is very cute. So this is the Bibliophile Reader's Journal by Jane Mount. So this one has lots of colors in it, and each one individual page is a book review. So there's 2 of them, and then like a list of just things, like these are books made into movies. Another one, another one, another one, another one, another one. 6 of them, and then another page. So many colors in this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another one. So up until this point is just singular book reviews, and then after this it turns into books to check out. So like your TBR kind of quite a few pages of that, so that's good. I don't know if you need all of that information of books you want to read. I guess some people would. And then ideas and inspiration at the end. And then there's a couple pages of reading recommendations. So straightforward. I like the size of this. The quality seems good. This one, I'll put the price on here because it doesn't list it on here. And I'll go try it out and get back to you. This one's gonna be so hard to rate because it doesn't check so many of my boxes, but I really enjoyed it. I think I'm getting over my dislike of hardcovers. Like, it's still not my preferred thing. This is still not my preferred size. I would like one a little bit smaller, softer, so I can pop it in and out of my bag. So with it already being a hardcover, I just don't see why we couldn't have gotten it this thick. Like, why does it have to be this small? Because if it was 2 to 3 times this amount of reviews, I might actually use this like as my journal. But it only fits 65 reviews, which is such a strange number. I would just have to buy 3 to 4 of these every single year, and that's just so many books to keep. I understand that not everyone is reading over 65 books a year. For many people, this would be perfect. I could see myself using this as like tracking, I don't know, my childhood favorites, or tracking my nonfiction reads, or something like that that I would want to refer to later. Not every single review of every single book needs to go in here, or it could just be my 4 and 5 stars. Sure. What I will say is I love these pages because it's not about book recommendations and book lists and like you have to read these. It's just really cute illustrations, and you can take it as recommendations, you can take it as ideas, but it's also just like a pretty piece of art in the book. I like spotting the ones that I own, and it's pretty to look at. Except for, oh, I put a sticker in here. I'll talk about this in a second. Except for these pages. I don't know how this happened. My other main critique is books to check out, just because I feel like there's a lot of wasted space here. You don't need to write down this much information if you're just writing out a book that you want to read. I really like the clean white pages. The quality's great, all the text is black, but I don't like plot and character notes because then if it's not fiction, I just feel like I'm not allowed to put it in here. And I just feel like this is too much wasted space. Like, why is it put in its own little box of your start date and end date? Like, I don't care about those things very much. So what I did, because when I looked at this and I saw the size, I was like, you know what would fit in there? The freaking book cover. So what I did is, this is the cool, I don't know if I'm just behind on technology, but this is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. It's a little like pocket printer. It doesn't need to be plugged in. It connects to your phone and it can print anything you want off of your phone. Pooley Print sent me one of these. They also sent me some rolls of paper, and you can get all these different colors, and you can get ones that have a sticky back, and it never runs out of ink because it uses like thermal something. So all you ever have to buy is the paper, and it is black and white because of like the ink situation and how it prints. But I got kind of their basic model, and there is one that is a higher DPI, so the quality is even better. I think I'm gonna buy it for myself, and it's just so cool how quickly this thing prints. And it is pretty basic, like you can't do colorful things, it's not like quite photograph quality, but like I just can't stop thinking about how useful this can be in so many elements of my life. I know this is a journal review, not a printer review, but I'm putting an affiliate link down below in case you want to check it out. Because like if I was in school, I would be printing so many different like labels and charts. So here's a couple of the reviews I filled out. Plot notes, character notes, favorite quotes, other books to read. I'm trying not to let it sway me to prefer this journal, but I love how this looks right now. And I can totally do this for any other journal. It was just like, the lines were just too perfect to ignore. Anyway, I quite like this. I think a lot of you will like this one, and I'm clearly like using it. So I might just continue using it just because I want to keep printing out all of my book covers. Considering how many colors are in here, I'm pretty impressed with the price, but maybe that is in relation to the pages. Maybe that's why it has so few pages, because if they made it twice as thick, it would have to be more. Anyway, on to the final reading journal. We're ending on a very interesting note with journal number 4. You know the size, the things that I've picked up, and to stay in a similar price range, I found this one from my local indie, and to me the listing looks like this size. Like it looks like this exact vibe with the two different materials, and I was picturing this. Now keep in mind, this is my bad for not looking at the dimensions. I just think it's fun to pick all of these up and try them out so you know. So if your preference is itty bitty tiny reading journals, you know that this one's out here. But like, oh my gosh, considering what I was expecting, it's really tiny. It is the two materials. It's kind of switched. Like this is the velvety one and this is the smooth one. It's got the flexi binding. As with all the other ones, there were no photos. I just paid for it and it showed up and it was this. It looks like a little black book with all of their contacts in it. It's even smaller than my itty bitty planner that I always praise and talk about. It's good for on the go for sure, and there's nothing in here really. Wow. A good portion of it though is book recommendations. You like check them off as you go. But this is how many reviews there are, and it's not a reading journal per se, it's just a journal. I'm scared to crack this open, but I guess we have to do it. So every page, I mean, that's good for usability. You can use it as just a journal, or you can use it as a reading journal. You could make lists. You could write down a book review on each page. You could write down 20 book reviews on each page. So I guess for the question of how many reviews does it fit, infinite. I gravitated towards this one because I love how simple this is, and this shade of green is one of my all-time favorites. I don't love the slightly sprayed tinted edges, and I don't like that the inside pages are yellow, but I would have known that if I was picking up in person. There is a little ribbon like most of these have. I'm gonna use this for sure, but I'm gonna use the pages at the end just to test it out and see how I feel. And I am going to take this around with me. I am hopping around different places in August, so I will make this something that I bring around. And what I might end up doing is writing like notes as I read the books and see if that's the type of reading journal experience I like to have. And if it is, then a small one is conducive to that. Okay, quick review of this one and then we'll get into a comparison of all four. This I already knew wasn't going to be for me upon first just opening it. And this is the thing about the lack of product photos and why I love this series, and I feel like there's somebody out there that this is helping. With that said though, all of these are as described. So if you are somebody who's looking to buy one of these and looking at it like an investment and not a silly booktube video, then you are obviously reading the description and picking the one that's best suited for you. And in that case, you would have already known that the description said blank pages that are dated with book lists in the back. So I can't be mad at this, but my experience with it as far as a reading journal is not my favorite, and I think that was a good thing to learn, because it definitely could have turned out that the ones with blank pages were more suited to what I'm looking for, because clearly I'm very selective about the things that I like in a reading journal. And in this one, much like when I tried that big bullet journal Book Riot one, is you can do whatever you want with this. If you're like me, maybe you're making character maps, keeping track of characters, maybe you just want to write down all the names of something, maybe you want to write a book list of just things you want to buy, and then on the next page you're writing a traditional book review. Maybe you just want a page that keeps track of all your favorites of the year. And with my cool new printer, I can obviously utilize this as a kind of pretty scrapbook reading journal too. I also got this cool stencil recently from Indigo, and there are stars on it, so I tried to do some pages where I wrote my star rating, and I'm just not quite talented enough to make that look pretty. And in that case, if I was using it like that, I would probably prefer a bullet journal. I know for a fact I would prefer nice white pages. And as expected, this quality is just not great. You can't, the way that it's constructed, you can't spread it fully open without completely breaking the spine. And I mean, that completely breaks the spine. That just happened right before your eyes. I've been doing this quite a few times this month, not aggressively, but just like trying to make it easier to write in, and that was apparently its last straw. I'm giving this a 2-star overall, and all the things that I want to say about it are more comparisons to the other ones I tried. So let's just get into the final discussion. If you skipped over the entire video and you just popped here to find all of my comparisons, I'll try to wrap everything up. But there are like visual aids throughout the first portion that may help you in deciding the layout that you like. So something that I want to start off saying is, as critical as I'm being, all 3 of the ones here that I enjoyed more than every single journal that I tried in the first episode. So at this point, I am just getting very particular about just tiny little details. So just keep that in mind. And perhaps my ratings, I don't really remember what I said in the first one, but if my ratings just don't match up with that, I'm sorry. I'm more comparing these ones to each other as opposed to any ones that I've tried before. Something I want to acknowledge is that I have come around to hardcovers. My favorite things that I used in this last 4 months are these. The ones that weren't technically for the challenge, of course. This is my new book club everything tracker. Book clubs that I do, book clubs that I am participating in others. I love this a lot. And even with giving this like 5 stars and telling you how incredible it is, of course I still have things. Like this material picks up every piece of dust in my house. Not that it needs it, because Sana is an incredible, well-known, beloved, trusted booktuber, but it has my endorsement, if that means anything to you. And this one is just so wonderful. I have loved filling it out with Liam. I especially love the part where I've gotten to write down all of his favorites throughout the years, and it's such good quality that it'll go into, you know, a little bin to keep forever. So that one has my endorsement too. Not that Abrams needs this. On to the 4 that I used, each one for a month. Let's compare them like this. So here are all the prices. I will say that the quality is slightly reflected there. They all have the same binding from what I can tell, but this one is just clearly constructed more poorly. And then as far as covers, these 2 have the soft, I don't know what to describe it. I want to say rubber. And then this one is like a cardboard with a material. And I think that's actually what's impacting how it's holding together. And also why I think they probably didn't include these things, because for the hardcover one, it doesn't need that. This one desperately needs it, but I think that because of the materials they used, there was no way to attach it properly here. So sorry to the Potter one, but it's getting a 2. This one's a 3, this one's a 3.5, and this one's a 4.5, the hardcover. I didn't see this coming. This one, I will note, has a couple other ones to choose from the same brand. So there's this one that is significantly cheaper, and I believe the description said that it has specific prompts. So it may be similar to this, but is more of a traditional reading journal, but it's not available anywhere near me. And there's also this one, which is probably more in line with what I'm looking for. The construction looks similar to this one, but I just really hate the cover. Like, I don't want to buy that. It depicts what it's supposed to depict, but I feel like it's trying a little too hard. If you're looking for a reading journal that is clearly a reading journal and you like that aspect to your reading journal, these ones are the best for that, because they say like my reading journal, they have books on the cover. And I think these 2, while there is books, they're a little more covert. I don't know the word that I'm looking for, but they're not so in your face, hi, I'm a book journal, if that's something that makes you feel like weird having it out in public. And they both have a very easily removable sticker on the back to make them even more undercover, let's say. This one is also cool because there's an entire collection, I've learned. So there's this, and then they have a new one coming out in December that's called like Diverse Book Spines. I don't really know why they have to call it the fact that it's Diverse Book Spines. I don't know why they couldn't just recreate this but make it more diverse. But it says it has the exact same amount of pages, so I think it's just a little more inclusive. And then there's also this one that just has a bunch of facts about books in it. I would love for that to be gifted to me. I think that's a perfect gift for the bibliophile in your life. It seems really cool. It's obviously a little more pricey because it's not a journal. But then there's also like postcards and different stationery, so you can have a whole collection of stuff that looks just like this if you love it. What would make this a full 5-star for me is if there were more reviews. Give me 30 to 50% more pages and I would use this all the time. I think it's quirky, I think it's fun, I think it's unique, and it's very consistent. The page all lines up pretty well. The prompts leave enough open. I like that there's a star rating. This box like wasn't my favorite until I realized that I could utilize it in another way. And then just being a generic notebook for a couple pages in the end really works for me and my purposes. There's potential space for 65 reviews in this one, 52 in this one, which makes sense because it's intended to be used for a year, 100 in this one, and then technically let's say 150 for this one if you're using one page for each review. These two would be my most recommended ones if the intended purpose matches with what you're looking for. I think they are a reasonable price. I think they're well constructed. I'm assuming most people won't care about the alignment and the inside colors as much as I do. These ones have the best dimensions. They can be easily brought around with you, especially because of this. They're easy to write in. They lay flat, and these would make really good gifts for somebody especially who's like new to reading, because I think the challenge prompts are very cool and definitely give opportunity for people to broaden their horizons and check off different lists. These are fantastic stocking stuffers for like the teen in your life. Obviously anybody can use any journal, but that's just who I have in mind for these. Hear me out though. What would make these perfect in my mind, and if I was designing a book journal like this with challenges like this, rather than integrating the challenges into the book and giving them their own pages, I think something really cool would be a place on each page for a sticker, and then each one to like it to come with a sheet of stickers. I know that this entire journal, the point is to be a read harder challenge, but there's just so many pages for each book, and I'm sure people love that and getting to write out all of their thoughts. But maybe more so for this one, where the book challenge is in the back and there is an entire page intended for that challenge, but if you were writing down every single book you've read, like you're already filling out all that information. If you are neurotic and you're going through and writing every review for every single book you read in order, then it's almost weird when you get to the challenge and you have to rewrite all of the stuff out. So instead, what I would do is I would have an entire page that just lists all of the challenge prompts, and then have a sticker sheet that says like challenge, a book set in a country you'd like to visit, and then you can take that sticker and you can stick it on the page that already has that review. And then there can be other stickers, and depending on the amount of reviews you have in the books, like there's 100 in here, maybe there could be 20 stickers that say favorite of the year. There could be a sticker that said like read this for a book club or reread an old favorite. I just think that'd be fun because it could make it more interactive too. And I definitely want to know what you think of journals that have the recommendation list, because every single reading journal that I got and I tried has a recommendation list. A lot of them are around book awards. Some of them are more personal and unique, but like, what do you think of that concept? Do you want a checklist, or do you just want a list of recommendations, or do you want recommendations at all? As somebody with a very specific reading taste and a very good idea of like the books that are out there, I'm not looking for a reading suggestion when it comes to a reading journal, but do most people want that? That's my next question I'm posing to you. Also, would you pay more for more colors? Like, do you care enough about these pages to pay a couple dollars more, or is the one tone fine for you? And also, I want to know your thoughts on tinted pages. Do you want everything bright white, or are you cool with a slight light tint? And if you don't prefer white, do you like the yellow? Because I just don't vibe with this, which is also probably why I'm gravitating towards this one and this one. And then this one has like bold colorful pages with the white, which I also like. Here's what I see as the biggest benefits from each one. The Book Riot Read Harder Challenge inspired journal has a double page spread. So I know I talked about how there's more space to review in one of the other ones, but that's not taking into account that each of the reviews in this one has a double page spread. So there is more space overall for each review. It has the most open prompts. It can be used for like any genre, any book you're reading, and the fact that it's guided will appeal to a lot of people. My book journal, a 100 book reading diary for bibliophiles, obviously has the most amount of reviews, and it has the most fun list at the end to fill out. The Bibliophile Reader's Journal is the most visually appealing to me, both the cover, the art inside, and just the layout of the pages, which also helps it be the most like stackable and collectible. I could see you having a whole bunch of these over the years, especially because clearly they're coming out with different editions. Like, I could see myself picking up a new one every once in a while and not feeling like it gets redundant. And then my reading journal from Clarks and Potter is the most versatile. You can use it for anything, and it's the most travel friendly if you're taking it out and about with you. And if you're more gentle with it than I was, I'm sure it would stay intact. So those are my overall thoughts. Let me know which book journal you would pick. I will try to find links so you can easily buy any of them down below. And the question is, have I found my perfect reading journal yet? And the answer is no. So we're gonna keep on trucking. What do you want me to try next? I will see you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.